Good afternoon. My name is Marie Clairmont. I'm 64 years old. I was born and raised in Rosebud community. My parents are Catherine Leftambo Clairmont, and my father was Robert Clairmont. My parents are both deceased. My mother's parents were Alfred Leftambo and Rosalie Ironshell Leftambo. My father's parents were Philip Clairmont and Susie Bordeaux Clairmont. My mother was a dancer. She was a traditional dancer, and I believe my grandmother and my grandfather, Alfred and Rosalie, were dancers too. As I was growing up, I attended a lot of wachipis with my mother. We would travel and go to all different wachipis. I remember when I was younger that we owned a station wagon that my mother would load up. All of us kids would load it up, and we always took a canvas tent, a white canvas tent. I remember that. We would pack it on top with the poles and everything that we needed, like a post hole digger and shovels and like that, to dig our holes. And when we got to the wachipi, and we always camped. And my mother and my sister Janola Clairmont Hatch, they danced. So we were given that opportunity to go around to all these wachipis, and also known as powwows, and we would go and we would attend them. And it was really fun to be in that circle. Even as a little girl, knowing that our culture and how we really respected it. I come from a family of dancers. I have a lot of cousins that are dancers, and my kids. I had 3 kids that I wanted to dance. So when they were younger, then I decided that, I was going to, go into that circle and keep them in that circle, because, I didn't want them to stray away, or I wanted them to learn the culture and keep it within themselves, so that that they would have respect for it and also for themselves. And it was hard, as being a single parent and raising my children on my own. It was hard, but when you decide to go into the powwow circle and be there, it's a good feeling. It humbles you. You also have to sacrifice, a lot of things, being there, staying there all day, and being with your children to make sure that they're dancing and also helping out, with whatever you can, at that wachipi. When I started to really get involved, I started to design and make patterns for my children's outfits. I always did know how to sew, but I had to learn So I would sit there and I would watch different dancers, and I would look at their regalia. And sometimes I would take a paper and a pen, and I would draw out, a pattern, or I would draw colors, or, write down colors. And I would really watch, or, look at the different designs and styles that the dancers had, because I had a daughter that she was a fancy shawl dancer, and then I had 2 boys that were grass dancers. That's what I wanted them to be, was grass dancers. So with the help of, some of my mushkes, then I was able to learn how to make these different outfits. And I just kept doing it year after year, until I got better. My first outfits, when I look at them, they're just hunkishni, they're pitiful. But as I stayed in the powwow circle and continued to take my kids, every time I did an outfit, it got better and better, and just a lot of sewing and learning how to coordinate colors. And so I do a lot of sewing now. I do a lot of different things for people that want me to design and make them outfits, or even a ribbon shirt or a ribbon skirt. So to this day, I still sew. I enjoy it. I really like, being in that powwow circle, that wachipi circle, because it really humbles me and it makes me feel good. It's really touching, here to be there, especially when you hear that drum beat. It's like your heart. It gives you a good feeling. You're happy hearing those songs, especially the older ones. It always takes me back to when I remember my grandparents and my mother being at the powwows and watching my sister, and she was crowned one year for the Miss Rosebud. I was really proud of her back then, and that was in the 70s. So today I continue to, go to the wachipis, and my son, he's 27 years old, and he still dances. I still make his outfits and still do the sewing, and throughout the years that I was involved with all of this, being in the circle and sewing and, doing different regalia outfits for different people. I really found, myself, my spirit, and it's a good feeling. I try to really live a good life right now. My name is, my Lakota name is Tokia Wa'unshila Maniwi. And she walks first with compassion. I always feel like that I can't say no to people that need my help. I mean, even though I'm so busy, I always try to help. I'll make the time to help them if they need my help, or if they want me to do a ribbon shirt or a ribbon skirt at the last moment, or I need a Sundance skirt, or I need a Sundance dress, then I'll just, okay, I'll do it. I'll make that time. And I really like to share too. I like to teach. I like to learn all the time. I'm still learning. I'm 64 years old. I'll be 65 on August 16th, which is like 11 more days. But I'm still learning at this age. I still learn how to do different things. There's never a day that you're not going to learn something. Every day, every morning I get up and I thank Tankashila, for this breath of fresh air, that keeping me here for this day, because I believe that he has there's a reason why I'm still here, So I try to make that day, a good day. I try to build in a lot of things, in that day. So I'm constantly moving all the time. My kids always tell me, slow down, Mom, take a break, But it seems to me like there's never no time, not enough time, because I'm always constantly moving, which is good, it keeps me young and healthy. But I want to talk about a little bit about the making of the regalia. Right now at this time, I'm doing a lot of ribbon skirts, mostly a lot of ribbon skirts. I get a lot of orders from different women for their children and for themselves. So I do a lot of that. I also do a lot of ribbon shirts, and I do handbags, those crossbody bags. And I've been doing a lot of that. I'm back here working at the child care, working, with the cultural part of it as a Lakota educator. I was working here before a couple of years ago, and I worked here for 9 years. And at that time, I did a lot of sewing, lots of shawls for the girls, ribbon shirts, ribbon skirts, vest. We did a lot of classes here, teaching the young ladies how to sew. Any time of the day from 8 to 5, they could come in here and the machines would be up, and I would be teaching them, learning how to operate that machine and how to clean it, how to thread it. Then I would let them sew for a while, just to get used to it. And I really think that these young girls, should be taught that, so that they can take care of their families when they, become mothers, and they'll be able to teach their children how to do it. So all the classes that I had, I would teach these young girls and even older women, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to do those classes. We did, shawl making and ribbon skirts, ribbon shirts. We did moccasin making, star quilts. We even went out and harvest. And we'd come back and if we went choke cherry picking, we'd come back and would clean the choke cherries. And then we would make patties and then would put them out to dry. And then with the corn, we picked corn and boiled them, and then we took the kernels off and we dried them too. We did porcupine, pulled the quills, washed them, dyed them. So we did a lot of classes and dry meat, made bapa. I would, some days, that I would just be, baking or cooking soup, or then when I would bake, I would do pies and fry bread and make some dinner rolls, and sometimes we'd do some loaves, and then we'd make some soup on the side and hot tea, and then we would invite the public to come and try the bread out or have a piece of pie and coffee with us. I did classes like that, and then I would teach them, how to set bread and how to harvest all those. We would bring in, people that knew how to do the bapa, like Pearl Spotted Tail. She came in and she showed us how to cut the meat. There's a certain way how you cut that meat, and then you put it out to dry. And I worked with Sandra, and she taught a lot of classes and did a lot of stories about why we made because there was a story like when we had a cradle board project, and she really helped us with that, and she when we did the baby moccasins, there was a story to that and how they made the moccasins, and baby star quilt, and the turtle and the lizard. The turtle is a kia, and the lizard is the Englishka. And so we had those classes where we beaded them, and she did those classes for us. And then the baby star quilt, we did that. So there's stories to all of that. And it's really good to learn all of that so that you could teach your children. Even at my age, when Sandra came in and she was teaching us that, I didn't even know, and I was never, taught that. So even at my age, I still learn every day. And so it's really good to learn, all that stuff so you can teach your grandkids or your children. And I really, really believe that when you make these things, and I think that every child, Native child, they should have a ribbon skirt or ribbon shirt or shawl or even a choker or even beaded earrings, to show that, to identify them that they're Native. I know when I make my granddaughters ribbon skirts, or even if I bead them earrings, or if I make them a little necklace or anything, a bag or anything that had Native designs on, they would be just proud to wear them because, it just made them happy. So I think that every child, Native child, should have something to identify themselves as being Native. So I really, promote that and push that, because we're losing our culture. It's it's going to be dead here if we don't get a hold of it, if we don't start teaching and we don't continue to have these classes and to teach these young ladies and mothers, when I had those classes, there was a lot of women that came. One time when we had our Star Cook class, we had over 75 women here wanting to learn. So promoting all these cultural classes, I think, is a really something that we really need to continue to do, to keep the culture going and to keep our identity. And it's really important, that these kids know, that they're Lakota or they're Native, and I think there's a lot of them that are out there that, would love to have something showing, that they have something to identify them as being Native. When I was going to different powwows when we first started out, it was really hard, at the time, you don't really realize it, but when we would go to different powwows, I would have a lunch sale, or I would be up just early making burritos or something to sell. And that would, get us to our next powwow. It'd help us with our gas and our food, whatever we were going to eat or whatever I was going to prepare for our meals. But so I had to do stuff like that, and then we would pack and had a tent and our chairs and our blankets. And my son, he was just young, but he just knew how to pack our trunk, and he would have everything packed in there just neat. And we always had everything, our cooler and everything that we needed, and we would load up and then we would take off for the Wachipi. And then we would get there, and then there'd be sometimes, he might place, or even if he didn't, it was okay, because we wanted to be there. We wanted to be at that powwow. We wanted to be in the circle. And so we would just go from the next powwow, come home, do the same thing. I'd be having lunch sales or whatever I could do to get enough money to make it to the next powwow. But it was a lot of fun. It was something good to be a part of. And so I really encourage, all the young people, that it's not too late to learn. I was in the powwow circle all of my life, but there was times that, I didn't go to the powwows. And, but I would, I would always go back. And now that I'm older, it's really good to be a part of the Wachipi circle and just being able to teach. I really enjoy it, and I'm always available for anybody that wants to learn. I would teach them. Once this pandemic hit, I stayed home and I sewed and sewed and sewed. Anything that I could make, masks, ribbon shirts, skirts, shawls, anything that people wanted, I would make it. And that was my time I spent at home, and just sewed the whole time. And just something I enjoy doing, and will continue to do, probably for the rest of my life. But yeah, it's good to be back at work, and it's good to be able to help, more of my oyate. I want to thank, them for asking me to do this interview. It makes me feel good because I know how to do a lot of different things, but I guess you don't really realize what you do until people remind you, that, gee, you know how to sew good, or I like your ribbon skirts that you make, or whatever. I just get into my sewing, and I just don't really realize, that I'm doing a lot of stuff and making a lot of people happy.